Which of these sentences is correct? She always leaves her clothes on the floor, or she is always leaving her clothes on the floor? Well, they're actually both correct, but this one, in the continuous tense, has a much stronger message. And this is one of the 8 ways we have to use the continuous tense in English. Before I tell you why and when to use it, let's first have a look at how to form the continuous tenses in English. So the simple tenses is the subject, like I, you, he, she, and then the verb. I eat. He went in the past. She will play in the future with will. But the continuous tense includes the verb to be. We put the subject, then the verb to be, and then the main verb in the ing form. So I am watching. You were playing. She will be eating. So we can put it in the tense that we want. We just have to conjugate the verb to be. Am, was, will be, would be, has been. That's the bit that changes depending on the tense, but everything else stays the same. So let's learn when to use the continuous tense in English and not the simple tense. Let's go. One of the more basic explanations of when we use the continuous and when we use the simple tense in English is that we use the continuous tense for things that are happening now and the simple tense for things that happen always. So on a Saturday morning at 7 o'clock in the morning and my daughter is talking to me and asking me questions, I say, oh, what? Hey, sure, I'm waking up. Don't talk to me just yet. I'm waking up. Okay, because I'm in the process of waking up. It's happening now when I'm speaking. However, I could say, I wake up at 7 o'clock every day. I wake up at 7 o'clock because that's something that happens always. Maybe 7:30. But it's a general rule. If it's happening now, if we're talking about something that's happening now, we use the present continuous. And if we're talking about something that happens always, we use the present simple. So what about this? She always leaves her clothes on the floor. She is always leaving her clothes on the floor. Surely if we're talking about something that happens always, we need the simple tense, right? Well, not always. I'll tell you about this a little bit later in the video and how the second option is actually better in this situation. But for now, let me ask you a question. What are you doing now? Your answer has to be in the present continuous tense because you're telling me what you are doing right now. I'm watching a video. I'm learning about the continuous tense in English. I'm walking down the street and I'm listening to the video. I'm eating. I'm having a cup of tea. They're all things that are happening now. Then you need the present continuous tense. When you're describing a situation or setting the scene for a story, in the past, we use the past continuous tense. So it was a lovely cold winter's day. The snow was falling. Children were building snowmen. The fire was burning. And suddenly, somebody on the door. So when I'm setting the scene and I'm describing the situation of the story, I use the continuous tense. Was falling, were playing, was burning. Now we can also use the continuous tense to talk about the future and to set the scene at a specific time. So if you ask me, hey Greg, describe the situation at 4 o'clock in your house next Sunday. 4 o'clock, Sunday. Okay, so I will be watching the football. My wife will be doing some work, preparing classes, perhaps, and my children will be playing, and they will probably be making it difficult for me to watch the football. In all of those sentences, I've used the future continuous. I will be watching, will be working, will be playing, will be making. That's because I'm setting the scene and describing the situation at a specific point in the future. In the previous example, I mentioned a couple of things. The snow was falling, somebody knocked on the door. Now, these are two great examples of what I call a continuous action and a BAM action. The snow was falling. This is a continuous action, falling. It's not like last week when my daughter fell and cut her knee. It's a continuous action. It lasts for a long time. Somebody knocked on the door. Knock, knock, knock. BAM. That's the action. Okay? When we're talking about continuous actions, obviously we use the continuous tense. But when we're talking about much shorter, much BAM actions, then we use the simple tense. My daughter was running in the street and fell. Was running, that's the continuous action, and BAM, she fell and she cut her knee. Now, generally speaking, when we're telling a story and talking in general, the BAM action interrupts the continuous action. Okay, she was running, BAM, she fell. It was snowing, BAM, somebody knocked on the door. I was cooking, BAM, I dropped the pasta on the floor. So we use the continuous tense for continuous actions and the simple tense for BAM actions, which interrupt the continuous actions. For habits, we normally use the simple tense. I wake up at 7 o'clock. I go to the gym twice a week. I work from home. These are all habits, so we use the present simple. However, we can use the present continuous if that habit is temporary. And when we do this, we normally include the expression at the moment or these days in the sentence. So we could say, I'm working at home these days because my car is broken. And that implies that, well, normally you go to the office, but I don't know, maybe your car is broken. So just as a temporary habit, you are doing your job from your home. You're working late these days, aren't you? I'm going to bed too late these days and I'm finding it difficult to wake up in the mornings. These are all temporary habits, so we use the present continuous. Now, we can also put this in the present perfect continuous tense. That's have been doing something. And this just implies that this habit started in the past and is still true now. When we use this continuous tense, we normally use the word recently or lately. He's been traveling a lot recently. She's been arguing with her colleagues a lot lately. Temporary situations. Not the same as habits. Habits are things that you do, like work, ride a bike, go to bed, travel, argue. But situations refers to things like where you live, where you work. I mean, compare these two sentences, for example. He lives in New York. He's living in New York. In the second example, we're making it clear that this is a temporary situation. So maybe he's gone there for 1 year or 2 or 3, but we know that he'll be back. And what about these two sentences? She works at the bank in the village. She's working at the bank in the village. Again, because we put the second one in the continuous tense, we are implying that this is a temporary job and relatively soon she'll get a new job. We can use the present continuous tense to talk about the future. And we do this when we're talking about plans. Not things that you want to happen, not things that you've just decided will happen, but things that are in your diary. They're on the family calendar. They're plans. If you have plans, you use the present continuous tense to talk about them. So what are your plans for the weekend? Well, on Saturday, we're going to the theatre. We're having lunch at the restaurant next door, and then our friends are having a party in the evening, which we are attending. Present continuous tense for all these things because they're all plans that we have in our family calendar for the future. If you go to a hotel in an English-speaking country, the receptionist will probably ask you, how many nights will you be staying? How many nights will you be staying? The future continuous tense. You might answer, we will be staying 3 nights. Then they might say, will you be wanting breakfast? How many keys will you be requiring? They're using the future continuous tense here because it's just more polite and a bit more formal than how many keys do you want? Do you want breakfast in the morning? Look at these two sentences. Do you want an extra key? Absolutely perfect. Perfect grammar, nothing wrong with it. But will you be wanting an extra key? Wow. This place is posh. This place is formal. Yep, nice first impression of the hotel. It just gives a much more polite tone by using the future continuous tense. When you are talking about something that is annoying, or you're complaining about something, you can use the continuous tense with the word always. So compare these two sentences. Anne always leaves her clothes on the floor. Anne is always leaving her clothes on the floor. In the first sentence, I'm just telling you about a fact. This is what Anne does. She leaves her clothes on the floor, always, okay? It's just information, that's all. But in the second one, if I put it in the present continuous tense with the word always, I'm really giving you the impression that I'm complaining and that is annoying for me. Oh, she's always leaving her clothes on the floor. And that's why in this situation, yes, both are correct, but the more expressive one is the second one with the continuous tense. You're always leaving the milk out of the fridge. He's always forgetting to answer my messages. It's always raining. I'm complaining about all of these things, and that's why I'm using the present continuous tense with always. And we can put this into different tenses too, like we went out for dinner last Friday, but she was always looking at her phone. If we go out again, I'm sure she will always be looking at her phone. So it doesn't matter which tense we use, but continuous plus always means you're complaining. Okay, quick quiz question for you now. Look at this sentence. I opened the door and it was raining, or it had been raining. Past continuous, it was raining, or past perfect continuous, it had been raining? Well, I'm going to tell you the answer to that question in that video. So I'll see you there. Remember to get the worksheet from this video by clicking there. Like, subscribe, blah de blah de blah, you know all that stuff. And I'll see you in that video next. Bye for now.